Welcome to Allergy Dragons Lair. My name is Martha Morgan. I'm a specialty diet and allergy chef. I happen to have celiac disease, a couple food allergies myself, but I like to say that my biggest claim to fame is raising a child with over 30 food allergies, celiac disease, and that doesn't even include the environmental allergies. And what we do on the Allergy Dragons Lair podcast is kind of focus on the individuals that are in our community, making a difference, living the lives that we're living, and just kind of being awesome people. But before we jump into this episode, here's a quick disclaimer. The views expressed here on our show are our personal opinions and our guest life experiences. We are not healthcare providers or doctors, however, some of my guests are. Please take advice from your healthcare professional for any diagnoses or changes to your healthcare plan. Okay, so my guest today is Tessa Grosso. She is a young woman living in New York who is a fellow food allergy warrior and so much more. Tessa, first, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. And can you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself and talk about all the cool things that you're doing and also, why you're here on the show?
Of course. Thank you so much, Martha, for not only having me on, but also opening this space to share people's stories for food allergies. I think the one thing we need is more awareness, especially about treatment options. So to get into myself, when I was a kid, I was allergic to dairy, wheat, eggs, nuts, shellfish, and the list goes on. I was pretty much allergic to everything. I didn't have 30, but I was allergic to many, many things, enough that walking around the world kind of felt like a minefield. I had multiple near-death reactions, multiple rounds of Epi, was in the back of an ambulance with my mom, multiple stays in the hospital, and all of these moments in my life just gave me incredible anxiety and fear, not only around food, but it kind of morphed into other things in my life as well. So food allergies defined my childhood. I was always the allergy kid, the one at a different table. I had an aide with me at school. And then when I was 8 years old, my mom found Dr. Kari Nadeau, who was doing initial preliminary trials at Stanford to treat single food allergens. And you'll hear about this from my mom, but she went up to her and asked if there was anything to be done for kids like myself with multiple food allergies. And ultimately, after, having been to countless doctors and been told to just live with the food allergies, my mom and I saw this as the one glimmer of hope. And a few years later, I decided to be the first patient to enroll in the clinical trial. It was less than a year before I was eating all of the things that once almost killed me. OIT involved having daily amounts of my allergens, frequent visits to the doctor. It was definitely taxing, but in the end, it was so worth it because now, over 10 years later, I don't think about food allergies at all. I eat all of my allergens in my regular diet. I don't have to measure anything anymore, and I just feel empowered, safe, and free in stark contrast to what I felt as a child. So that's a little bit about me and my food allergy journey. And then along the way, I've had this amazing opportunity to work with my mom to start Latitude Food Allergy Care and make this treatment as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. I was really lucky to be in the clinical trial because my mom worked with Dr. Nadeau, but I know that many other kids and adults like myself weren't afforded that opportunity. So I've tried to do everything I can, including sharing my story, to make sure other people can get that treatment if they want it.
It's awesome because really, honestly, I think sharing our story is so empowering to not only us, but other people, because then you all of a sudden meet people that are just like you. And so you are an allergy advocate, basically. You're a superstar, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, very close in age was my youngest kiddo. It makes it, very much a big connection here. And, I always say, you have a lot of food allergies, period. And I think that one allergen is too many because it's not like Pokemon, let's go collect them all. We're not trying to,
Yeah.
We're not trying to be like, oh, I have it harder. Cause it's not to downplay anything like that. But you are my first person to be on the podcast that has actually been active in OIT and had to, be the patient. So OIT specifically is not an easy fix. Some people think of it as that are not in the food allergy space, or even people that are talking about food allergies, they look at it as either impossible or not attainable, or or as an easy fix. So in what ways do you think that OIT has changed over the years? Because you did this, what, like 10 years ago, you said was when you first
Yeah.
started?
Yeah.
And I know they've changed it up because they learn what works, what doesn't work, and that kind of thing. So would you say that there's any differences from a patient standpoint from when you started to what's going on now?
Yeah. So I can definitely uh, refer you to Ronnie and my mom for the exact details on that, but I can definitely speak to the fact that OIT is a challenging thing to go through and people think it's not attainable. Kind of the reasoning that we went through before I joined the clinical trial was that it's better to have a reaction in a safe, controlled environment with EpiPens. At the time, I was in a hospital, but at a doctor's office with people who know how to treat it in a safe environment rather than out in the world where we can't control anything. So we felt like it was one variable that we could control, and that's why I decided to do it. In terms of the way that it's changed, I would say we just have 10 years of evidence that it works. And unfortunately, people aren't really tracking the long-term effects in a quantitative sense, but that's part of the reason why I want to get my story out there is because I'm qualitative evidence that 10 years later, OIT is still effective.
And OIT is a treatment, not a cure. A lot of people will kind of like I said, out of the food allergy realm, a lot of people will say, oh, it's a cure. And no, it's a treatment that you actually have to continue, from what I understand. So what is it a day like for you? Because you can eat your allergens and that kind of thing, but your upkeep or dosing, like I said, I have no clue. I've never had to live it. I just know from what I've been reading.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not an expert, but how is your daily life challenges and also the good things that have obviously happened from this?
Yeah. So that's another kind of myth from my perspective because I no longer do my maintenance dose. I live and eat just like my friends. I don't track what I eat. I don't measure anything. I still carry an EpiPen because, again, it's a treatment, not a cure. But yeah, it's not again, unless I'm doing something like this, I'm not thinking about food allergies.
That's awesome. I really think that that's amazing to me, and I really love the fact that we're getting to hear your story. And again, it's your experience as a patient of OIT, and it's very valuable. And obviously, even though I say the disclaimer, your experience may not be the same as the next person because we are individuals and different.
Totally.
Um, yeah, and we do have, I know you mentioned it, but we do have other people coming in, your mother being one of them. And we're going to have 3 different episodes all about the awesome
Okay.
things that you all are doing. So I think it's really good to get your side of things, especially because it is scary. I mean, that's where a lot of, I mean, me personally, one, they don't have an OIT that I'm aware of for chocolate, which is like my worst allergen. But I don't know if I would be as brave as you to go through it, even if it's in a controlled study. I don't know if I would do that.
10 years out, it feels like it was in the past and it was easy and this was perfect. But walking into the hospital on the first day, I told my mom, if I die, this is your fault. I was terrified to go through OIT. And it took a lot of convincing, to be completely honest with you, because I spent my entire life being told that even touching any amount of my allergy would send me into anaphylactic shock. And now they wanted me to actually take it, put it on my mouth, and swallow it. Like that was unheard of to me and absolutely terrifying. So I completely agree with you. It's definitely brave to go through it. And to be honest, that's why at Latitude, and my mom and I always say this, like it's hopefully we can see more and more kids doing it because then they can be treated before the anxiety really sets in. I was kind of on the cusp and was able to like bounce back from it, but it's definitely harder when you're older and your anxiety is more developed.
Oh, I would definitely say that your side of the story and being able to tell that OIT. So thank you so much for sharing how it really felt for you. But yeah, like I said, I don't think that they have one for me, but it is something that my youngest has been looking into. So with your experience with OIT, I know you kind of touched on it. What brought you the most comfort when you first started to do OIT?
What brought me the most comfort was I was very lucky to have family and friends supporting me. My grandma would bring me a new craft every single week or every 2 weeks when I had to be in the hospital. I would always have friends from school with me. And then aside from that support network that I had, the nurses I remember were just always so kind and amazing. And I felt safe, even though it was absolutely terrifying. I did feel safe and comfortable, especially once I got into the routine of it.
Oh, that's good. And then, so what was like a normal day for you that you can recall when you started OIT?
Sure. So the cadence of it, and I think this remains today, right? Well, you can actually do any time amount that you want nowadays, or you can slow it down. But for me, it was every 2 weeks I would go in and updose. So we started at, my mom will know the exact numbers, but a microscopic amount of every allergen. I did 5. It was dairy, wheat, egg, peanut, and almond. All 5 of those flours. We started with a teeny, teeny, tiny amount in like one bite of applesauce. And then I would go home and have that every single day, usually around dinner time because I didn't want to do it before school. And then you have to wait a little bit before sports or a shower. But like I said, once you get into your routine, it's kind of just like taking other medicine, which I know we all do. And then every 2 weeks, I would go back and do an updose where they would increase the amount until I would have a hive or just a small sign that that was my max. And I would usually be at the hospital for a few hours, hanging out with my friends and family, watching TV, doing craft. And then I would, again, take that new amount home and have that every single day in applesauce or pudding or anything that was a non-allergen item that I could get it into because I did get sick of it after a while. And like I said, once we get this was all less than a year. And then once I got to a high enough amount beyond the powder, I was able to use real food. So I would have 2 almonds every day and a piece of toast and a Hershey's Kiss for my milk dose. Um, I would do like a Reese's peanut butter cup or a scoop of peanut butter. And that's when it became increasingly normal. Then once I graduated from the trial, I got to 4,000 milligrams, which they don't need to go that high anymore. But I was eating, my mom will know the exact amounts, but I was eating this dose every single day, like eggs, nuts, milk, wheat, and that was just something that I had to do every day. I would do a toast with peanut butter and banana and then like drink some milk. It was just eating normal food. And kind of as the process went on, it became more and more normal. And then I can't pinpoint exactly when I stopped measuring my food, but sometime in high school. So after the clinical trial ended, I was in 4th grade. So I did my last 2 years of elementary school, was able to do those without an aide. And then I went to middle school at a new school and kind of just started my life over. And no one there knew that I ever had food allergies. And then some point along the way, I stopped having to measure my doses. Can't pinpoint that exactly, but I think for at least 5 years, I haven't read the labels or checked the amounts of protein and everything. So now a typical day is just imagine someone without food allergies. That's kind of how I live.
But yeah, that's really super cool. I wish I'm envious of you now too, by the way. But because I haven't been able to do the whole non-reading labels for a very long time. Because I was 26 when I got my first food allergy, and then I was 33 when I got diagnosed with celiac disease.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
yeah, it's okay. We all have our things, right?
Yeah. Trust me, there are other things now.
Yeah.
I'm not like a perfect happy person now.
No, no, no. I think it's just one less thing for you to have to worry about,
Yes.
which I think is amazing. Really, honestly. I'm very happy that you got to go through it. For us, my youngest kiddo, EOE is a thing, and there's not everybody does qualify for OIT from like what I understand, and I look forward to talking more about with your mother and the doctor about other
Totally.
things to see where we go with this and
Yeah,
what we don't know about OIT. I just could not imagine. I honestly am stumped. You're like, I just don't even read labels. I'm like, I don't know.
I
Um,
know.
no, I mean that's cool though, but also still we should still read our labels so we know what our food's coming in our food. But I'm glad that you don't have that stress over your head.
Yes.
Like I'm like not telling people don't read your labels for nutrition value, but at the same time that I just can't wrap my head around it. I love it though, love it for you, but
I know. Thank you.
you're welcome. Hey Tessa, can you go ahead and kind of tell us about Latitude and explain what they do?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm super excited about still playing a role. 10 years later, I don't think about food allergies except when I'm at Latitude. So, like I said, by the time I was in high school, my allergies were gone, but gone. Disclaimer. Uh, my mom spent a few years working with Dr. Nadeau at Stanford to raise money for the food allergy center there. And then ultimately realized that we had made such an impact on so many people's lives. And we have these amazing family friends who also were treated with OIT. And we thought, how can we get this to more people? The wait list for Stanford trials was so long. It was expensive to go to Stanford. I was lucky. I was lived 5 minutes away. So the solution was a business, and my mom started Latitude Food Allergy Care when I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school. I was 15, and she had this idea on a napkin of what would it be like to have a doctor's office that you could go to, and they're only focused on food allergies, and you can actually get an appointment, and they know about OIT, and they are there to support you throughout your whole food allergy journey, not as a replacement to current allergists, but just a supplement. So I was able to see from 15 years old on my mom build this business from the ground up, whether it was investor meetings or designer meetings, or I was in the meeting where they were picking out the logo. And, from the food allergy perspective, it was amazing to see. And then just from a high school kid trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. It was an amazing opportunity. And today, Latitude has clinics in the Bay Area and also New York. So once I graduated high school, I took a gap year. And then when I came to New York, was one clinic and another opening in Brooklyn. So I've been able to be involved from the Bay Area to New York. I was just at the Brooklyn clinic last week. I babysit for a girl who was treated at Latitude because I met her mom in the office one day. And it's just been amazing to see patients and little kids who it's just been amazing to build a space that my mom and I wished we had when I was younger.
No, that would be awesome. And I think it's hard to put that in words, seeing something that you wish you had and seeing other people grow up with it, but it has to be so fulfilling and also like just really empowering at the same time, but also just like makes you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. That's all I can say. Like,
Totally.
yeah. I know because I kind of like built Allergy Dragon. I started a YouTube channel in 2018, and then people started reaching out to me from there. And then, like, I have clients that I special cook with, in Denmark and Florida and Colorado and different places, seeing them be able to eat food again that they never thought they could eat, or
Yeah,
substituting different foods. It's humbling. It's really sweet to see these kids that have never been able to eat bread before or be able to eat something, and just happy that the whole entire you know family's doing it. But to see it in the medical field, like that would be so amazing. So thank you for sharing that.
it's been really cool. And based on my whole experience with Latitude, I decided to go to business school to be able to start to be able to be involved in more businesses like yours and like my mom's, because I realize that solutions like these can really change people's lives and help out. So
Mhm.
it's been fun.
And I think that's great. So that kind of leads into like, what are your plans for the future then for Latitude, yourself, and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I'm studying finance and sustainable business at NYU right now. And while I don't have my entire life planned out for next week, much less 5 to 10 years, I really hope in my life again to be involved in businesses that are helping people and making not only a profit, but the world a better place for as many people as possible.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's great. If OIT hadn't been an option for you, how different do you feel your life would be now?
That's a really good question that I ask myself all of the time because after high school, took an entire year to travel the world. I went to, as someone who grew up with a peanut allergy, I went to Thailand for 10 weeks and basically survived off of a jar of peanut butter in my backpack when I couldn't find anything else that I wanted to eat. So the way that my life has taken this full 180 is crazy. I don't think I would have been able to go to high school, much less college, much less Thailand, halfway across the world. I did my first year of NYU in London, where I lived thousands of miles away from my family. I don't think I could have lived without, like, hopefully I could have, but the way that I was living as a kid was I couldn't really do anything without my mom or my siblings around me. It always had to be a family event. And just so much of, I think, my personality and my drive has come from OIT and the sense of empowerment that I got from persevering and finding a solution when we thought that none existed, that I don't know who I would be without it. I would not be the same Tessa at all.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't imagine it without your life now, without what you're able to do now.
Yeah,
But at the same time, not to say that it's not impossible for everybody. And we don't know what 10, 20 years from now is going to hold either.
totally.
Yeah, because like you said, you still have to take care of an EpiPen because we don't know. But it's giving you so much freedom now and that you're able to live in the moment. And I think that for me,
Yeah,
what I hear from you is you're able to live in the moment with less worries. And I think that that's what somebody at 21 years of age should be doing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I always ask my guests, is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't get to talk about? Or do you just have like a thought you want to leave to everybody?
So I think the lesson that I've learned from my food allergy journey, and that I touched on the fact that this applies to other elements of my life, is that perseverance is important and you don't always have to take no for an answer, especially when it comes to your own body and your own health. And it is possible to take your own health care into your own hands and advocate for yourself and others, of course, with your doctors. But my life, again, I have no idea what my life would have been like if my mom had listened to the first doctor that said there's nothing to be done. And at that time there wasn't. They had to go out and find it, and she had to find a doctor who would find a cure. I'm not saying that there are solutions out there for everyone right now, but I genuinely believe that there will be a day when there's a solution for everyone, and all it takes is perseverance. So that's my wisdom. Take that for your food allergy journey and also other elements of your life.
Well said. Well said. Well said. So I guess we're gonna get ready to end this episode. So everything will be linked down below, so you can go ahead and contact Latitude yourself and follow them on social media and follow Tessa. And like I said again, Tessa, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you so much, Martha. It's been great. And for anyone listening, if you want to continue the conversation or ask me any questions about my experience, feel free to reach out to me. Links will be down below, or you can talk to someone at Latitude. They will be happy to help you.
Great, awesome. Thanks again, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.